Hi everyone, it's Alexander Skarsgård. I'm sorry that my video doesn't work, but my microphone does, so it should be good. Okay, so basically a couple of hours ago I finished watching the True Blood Season 4 premiere and always give my thoughts on it because I said I would, and plus I have a lot of good things to say. First of all, I want to say that I think it opened really well. It set up the introduction. It introduced the premise for this new season, with Suki obviously being transported to the fairyland. And having read all the True Blood books myself, there are major spoilers, by the way. Having read all the True Blood books myself, I know that the fairies aren't as nice as people think they are. And we really see this. So I think the fairies kind of make themselves to be enemies as well as friends, such as in the case of Claudine. And I think the guy that helped Suki and her grandfather escape was Claude. So yeah. Then when they left the fairy world, Suki was given, I think it was a watch or something like that by her granddad, which originally belonged to her grandmother. And you see this emotional moment in which her granddad dies, and Suki just cries. She cries her eyes out. She's in front of her parents' grave, and you really get the sense of loneliness that she feels. I mean, the only person she has left in her family is her brother, and she's just seen her granddad die. She saw her grandma in the first season she was brutally murdered, and then obviously her parents died when she was a little girl. Her uncle Bartlett was killed by Bill. So this woman really doesn't have a lot left in the world in terms of family, and her brother's as dumb as a rock anyway. So and then I think we see her go home, and we see these people doing her house up, and I was thinking, what are they doing? And then I remember that I read a spoiler online on Tumblr that Eric had actually bought her house. And I thought, oh, it's Eric's doing. I can't realise that. Oh, and just a word about Eric. When Suki came back from the fairy world, we see this shot of Bill opening his eyes and Eric opening his eyes. Sorry, there are cars going past. And that for me was really cinematic. That was so well done. And Alexander Skarsgård looks so beautiful. I was screaming. I was like, oh, finally you returned to me. So yeah. And then she goes to the house, and then the police come because the painter's like, you can't go into this house to be sold. And then the police come in. It's actually Jason, and that ties in with the plot from the 3rd season of last year, in which Jason basically blackmails Andy into becoming a cop. And you see Jason, he's being promoted to a sheriff, and you think, oh, well, last time we saw him, he was messing around the office, and he was told he couldn't be a policeman. So you get a sense of, house has been sold, her brother's a policeman, time has passed here. So then it's been revealed that she's actually been gone for 12.5 months. And she's like, that's impossible, I was in the fairyland for like a couple of hours at most. But it says that in the fairy world, time flows differently. So that's why she's been gone for a year in the real world. And obviously they've been changed, and all the characters, this is what really made the episode for me. All the characters have changed so drastically. I mean, let's start with Suki herself hasn't changed. Obviously she's got circumstances around her that, involve her, that are going to change her. But she hasn't changed from when we last saw her, because obviously she's going on this journey as we are. And then next we'll come to Jason. Obviously he is a policeman now. He's a sheriff, along with Andy Belfleur. And you really get the sense that he's matured a lot. And for me, that is good. That's a brilliant step up for Jason Stackhouse, because he's always been portrayed as like this dumb person who is only good for sex and for muscle. But he's really been pushed forwards, and he's very caring as well, because he takes all this food. I don't know where he got it from. He takes all this food to these kids in this little town called Hotshot, which is basically a town. It's like a hick town where everybody's inbred, nobody's educated. You see that he's really caring, and that's a soft side to him. That's good. Then we come to we come to Sam a lot, and towards the end of season 3, I really felt for Sam because he'd been screwed over by his family. He basically took his little brother under his wing to look after him because he turned out that his stepdad, I think it was making his little brother turn into a dog because they're both shapeshifters and making him do dog fights. And he saved his brother from that, and then his brother basically screwed him over. I can't remember how. I've not watched season 3 in a while. And it turns Sam into a different kind of person. And in season 4, in the very first episode, I thought, Tommy comments about him getting anger management, so it's like, okay, and you could see the anger on Sam's face. And you could see the anger as he does things. And he basically, he doesn't even give Suki much trouble about the fact that he's been missing for a year. He basically is harsh with her, but he's very short about it. And then he said, you can have a part-time job. So it's like, okay. I thought that was a bit Deus Ex, but it tied in with other storylines that were going around. You can see he wasn't pleased about it, so it kind of made sense. That was okay. And then you see him, and he's with these 3 other people, and I thought it was an Alcoholics Anonymous or an anger management group or something like that, but it's actually a meeting of 4 shapeshifters, and they go out running and everything. So you see that he's kind of got his own group now, but how good they are for him, I don't know. I don't know enough about these characters to say if they're good or bad for him. And then we come across Tara. I think Tara is one of my favourites in the first episode, purely because you see she's changed so much. I mean, in season 1, she had a lot of troubles with her mother, and she was very broken about that. And she got her demons cured. Then in season 2, obviously, she went through all that shit with Marianne. Being manipulated, being taken away from her mother. And then her boyfriend was killed. And in season 3, you see her become such an emotional wreck because, she's lost her boyfriend, the only person who's ever really cared about her. And, you feel like, oh, Tara, how much worse can it get? You just seem to always go through all this rubbish. And we see her here. She's looking fit. She looks good, and she's a cage fighter wrestler. She moved to New Orleans, it seems, and basically she's found herself another relationship, but she's in a relationship with a woman. And this was an interesting development because never before have we seen any indication that Tara likes women. But maybe she, over these 12 months that Suki's been gone, sorry. That's annoying. Anyway, oh shit. Sorry, I just kind of moved my leg and I shouldn't have. But for God's sake. Over these past 12 months that Suki's been gone, you see that she's, maybe she's changed a lot. Maybe she found love in someone else. It seems that she has. But I noticed that that her partner, I don't know her partner's name, kept calling her Tony. And I thought, why are you getting called Tony? And then when she gets text off Lafayette saying that Suki's back in town, she lies to her partner and says that it's just a text of her dad saying her grandma passed away. So you think, okay, Tara's actually living a lie. I think it turns out that she lied to her partner, said she was from Alaska or something like that. So I think instead of dealing with her problem, she's basically ran away and made a new life for herself. I don't think that's the right way to deal with things, but then again, I wouldn't not expect it from Tara, because of all the stuff she's had to go through with her mum being an alcoholic and then being misled by Marianne and her boyfriend dying. And then of course, in season 3, all the trouble, with Franklin. She bashed his head in. He was a psychopath to her. She saw him blow up in front of her, and that was traumatic, of course. And then you see, the relationship between her and Suki is fractured because she doesn't seem happy when Lafayette texts her, and that's completely understandable. It's no fault of Suki's, but it's completely understandable. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this development in Tara, but I'm hoping, for her sake, that she does one day end up somewhere good in life, because she's gone through so many hard knocks. She just really deserves a break. So yeah. And then there is Arlene, who has given birth to this demon baby, as I like to call it. I think it's actually Renee's. Renee is her psychotic serial killer ex-husband from the first season, who was committing all the murders. And you see, this baby's been pulling the heads off Barbie dolls, so you're thinking, okay, there's something wrong with this baby. So maybe it is going to be evil. In season 3, she had all these visions of Renee and everything. So yeah, I think this storyline is going to be interesting. Then of course we have the addition of the witches, which is another supernatural element as well as the fairies, and perhaps the werewolves are going to be, more involved. I hope they are. And the witches are basically Switch Corbin that Jesus is involved with. He basically drags Lafayette along to it. And Lafayette is his usual sassy self. But because he's seen the kind of dark side of magic in season 3 and he didn't really like it, he's a bit skeptical. But basically, the head witch, her bird has died, and they did this ritual, this chant, to make it come to life. And the head witch, Marnie, she says to him, join the circle, and he does, and then his bird comes to life, and once it leaves the circle, when it flies off, it dies again. So, he has been dubious about magic, but he knows now that it's real stuff. And I think it frightens him. And I don't think it frightens Jesus enough. I mean, I don't know much about Jesus as a character, but he seems very forceful, but I think he's genuine, but he seems very, forceful about the magic thing. So yeah, I'm hoping good things come for Lafayette as well. Then there is, I'm probably leaving out some characters. Oh yeah, Jessica and Hoyt, I loved this. You see him coming home and he's like, I need to eat, and they have this argument and everything because she's like, touching food for me is disgusting because it's dead and it's rotting. And then it just turns out into this funny scene between the two of them, and they ended up going dancing. But there's a guy who's flirting with Jessica at the bar. And you can see, she's trying to be loyal to Hoyt, but you can see that she perhaps got so tired of, 12 months of living by herself with Hoyt in this monogamous human vampire relationship that, maybe she wants something different. She wants to live a life. She wants to be spontaneous. And Pam really, I think Pam teases her about it. Hoyt himself, I think he's moved out of his mother's house, and it seems to me that his mother Maxine has replaced him with Tommy Mickens, which is Sam's brother, Samuel's brother. But Tommy is really, he's really turned around, and that's weird for me. But you can see he's still, a bit. He's still a bit mischievous. I guess that's the wrong word, because Sarah's paying for the treatment on his leg, and I don't know why it would take a year for that to heal, but I think he's playing him or something like that, but I just have to see how that plays out. I don't really like Tommy as a character. I just think he won't ever learn, but we'll have to see how it carries out. Then there is Bill. Bill seems very different. He seems to have kind of gotten over Suki, which I thought was really, really ironic, considering at the end of last season he was forgive me, I'm so sorry for everything I've done to you. She was like, get out. And as soon as like nightfall, he was at her door and everything like that. And he kind of turned it around on her. He was like, she said something like, oh, you still broke my heart. He was like, I'm sorry. And then he smiled and he walked off. So, I don't know what's going on with them two. I don't know what's going on with him in terms of their relationship. I don't know if he's gotten over or not. So yeah. Then we see that he's become the king of Louisiana. Now, I don't watch the second episode yet, I'm going to, but I assume that what that means is that he killed Sophie-Anne, which is fine. I don't really like Sophie-Anne, or Evan Rachel Wood. And he's become the king of Louisiana. So, obviously this is going to have some political tensions between him and Eric. Now, I saved the best till last. Eric. Okay, in the first episode, we see he was like on screen for a total of like 5 minutes, but he stole every single scene he was in. Holy crap! I mean, he was there. He was to the point when he was there, you had to listen to what he said because he commanded that attention, and all eyes were on him, and it was like, oh my god! Like the first time we see him, like you see his eyes open when he's been asleep, when he feels like he come back, and it's like holy shit. And then you see him. What does he do? Oh yeah, when Bill like rushes to her doorstep, he comes there as well, and Bill says something like, "Oh, it's been a year. I thought you were gone." And Eric just says, when everyone gave up on you, when your brother, when even Bill gave up on you, I didn't. And holy shit, this guy is serious about Suki. Now, personally, I don't endorse Suki and Eric relationship. I don't ship them. My OTP, my first OTP is Brittany and Santana from Glee. My second is Godric and Eric from True Blood. But you can see there's tension between these two characters. She's like, I reckon she's gonna be a total bitch about it, but obviously he's gonna become amnesia. He's gonna get amnesia because of the witches, and then yeah, things are gonna go great. I reckon, because if she falls in love with him, how could you? So yeah, you obviously know that he is very serious about Suki, but he's not serious to the point where he's falling up with her. He's like, he knows how to keep it cool, and you feel the intensity of his love for her. And then there's another scene in which, Pam, I love Pam so much. Pam's like being so sarcastic in front of the camera, trying to like get the humans back into the vampire side after Russ Lichtenstein ripped out someone's like spine on national TV. And Eric I love it. My favourite part of the whole episode was where he flips her hair to the side. I love that. That was great. And he took off her microphone and he sat down. He gave a stunning performance. I was like, wow. Oh, you are so to die for. And then yeah. And then of course the end scene. Oh my god. We see him, he says, I bought your house. And then he says, I own your house and now I own you. And then he goes up to her after like he sees her, he catches her nightgown or something like that, and he says, Suki, you are mine. And he sounds he sounds so primal. And I was like, oh, this is such a turn on. It was so gorgeous. So yeah. So I love the direction in which the show is going in terms of storylines. I'm very pleased with all of them. Some of them I'm not as excited about, but I'm very excited to see Eric. Just want more Eric, so I'm going to watch the second episode now and then do a review of that one. So yeah, hopefully this has been okay. And I will see you guys on the on Tumblr. So bye.